All right, do you want a free jersey? We have a DeAndre Swift signed jersey. We're going to be giving away that when we hit 2,000 subscribers. We're only a few hundred here away. We're going to be talking about two winners of the Senior Bowl here. Now, one of them kind of is a winner and a loser because he got injured. Now, these two prospects are very intriguing prospects, and draft capital is going to be so huge for the 2023 class. I know a lot of what we're going to be talking about in February and March might get slightly scratched away in some... honestly, that's what happens when you have draft capital. If some of these players get drafted in the 6th, 7th rounds, we're not going to want them. But if they get drafted in the 3rd, 4th round, there's going to be a lot of opportunity, a lot of potential intrigue of some of these players moving up, especially in the running back position. Roschon Johnson is the first one here. And why is he, I guess, not well known at all? I mean, he's 6'2", 219 pounds. I guess his best attribute or what he's well known for is being Bijan Robinson's backup. And so Bijan Robinson is the number 1 overall prospect. You're talking about the next Saquon Barkley, the next huge decade type prospect. Roschon Johnson is just stuck behind that. And unfortunately, that's what happens to some of these players. But Roschon Johnson, 6'2", 219, looked great at the Senior Bowl, but hurt his hand, broke his hand. I think it's likely a broken hand. And so what we have here is we just have to go through some of his statistics. We're going to have to see where he ends up being drafted. So he's a winner, but he's a loser because he got hurt too. And so what you're looking at statistic-wise, I mean, Bijan Robinson, just so you have an idea, I mean, he averaged over 8 yards carry as a freshman, which was ridiculous. But 6.3 yards per carry at Texas. That's Bijan Robinson. Now, let's look at the last 2 years for Roschon Johnson. 96 carries for 569 yards, 5.9 average. 93 carries for 557 yards. That's a 6.0 average. You're looking at a running back that had a little less production or a little bit less yards per carry. And guess these are all statistics. End up they don't matter a ton. They really don't. You have to look at the film when you have a 6'2", 220-pound type of running back, an Antonio Gibson size. That's an intriguing prospect here for the future. And so I almost said Bijan Robinson, Roschon Johnson. I think he'll be day 3. I think he'll be round 3, round 4. I think that's where you're going to end up having Roschon. You might have a team that looks and says, we don't care about the production because production is so fluctuant. Look at all the Alabama running backs. The Alabama running backs that were stuck on the depth chart and then they got a little bit of a peak of being a starter or potential split backfield. They just didn't have the high-level production as some of these running backs that were like Ohio State, where you had like the Zekes and the J.K. Dobbins, where they had the entire backfield. And I'm not saying Roschon's that. I'm just saying that statistics are very fluctuant and that some running backs don't get a lot of production, but you look at their athletic profile, you look at their draft capital, and everything makes sense, and they end up being successful NFL players, that's all we care about as fantasy football, is that they are successful fantasy football players. By the way, receiving grade, 56 receptions, 420 yards. He is capable in the receiving game to hold his own, and that is exactly what you want from a prospect that it potentially goes to a Chicago Bears team or something in the mid rounds, or goes to a Houston, and maybe, or just goes to a team that has a fill and void. And I think again, a player that could end up being into that Brian Robinson type of category that you're looking at, maybe early second into Dynasty, maybe mid second, just depending on where the chips fall. Okay, that's where we have Roschon. Very intriguing prospect. I've even seen people tweet and say, hey, these two prospects are actually going to be closer drafted than people think. Mid-first and late second round in the NFL draft, or early second and late second round in the NFL draft is what some people are projecting, but who knows? I think Bijan's going to be right around the mid-first. I think Roschon, probably you're looking at mid-third. You're looking at a 2-round gap in NFL draft-wise. And then you're looking at 101, maybe a mid-second for Roschon, unless he falls into an absolute ideal spot. Tyjae Spears is the next one. Tyjae Spears, 5'10", 195, and man, he's made some people look foolish. He's 5'10", 195, and again, another senior. We're looking at both of these being, of course, seniors because they played in the Senior Bowl. But you look at 229 rushes, 1,581 yards, and 21 touchdowns. You're going to have a 31.3% dominator rating, not up into the 80s and 90s like the Elijah Mitchells and the James Robinsons. But when you have a player that is going to be at a lesser school, you want him to dominate, or you want him to just go wow against some other bigger schools, and that's exactly what Tyjae Spears did. He made some people go, whoa. Who's that? And so I've got to watch some films through Mr. Spears here, and he's had some capable receptions here. 22 receptions for 256 yards last year. So again, capable receiving, yes. He's a smaller back. So you're looking at 5'10", 195. Kenneth Gainwell-ish, I would say. So just know that if he gets dropped into this 5th, 6th round, it's not going to look as great. But I love Kenneth Gainwell's tape. Tyjae Spears, the more I look into his tape, the more I really do like it. That 195 is a huge concern, though. He needs to weigh in. He needs to get into the NFL draft. 205 is like the mark. I mean, you just don't see fantasy production from running backs under that 200 unless you are the elite of the elites, it seems like. And so 195 is a huge concern. I need that to get up into that 200, 205 range. And I want to see what the combine says. I want to see where he ends up getting drafted. Like, these are all, again, very nice prospects on the outskirts. But realistically, it's like they're nice prospects, but can they actually perform at the draft combine? Can they actually be drafted by a team that is not going to put them behind Breece Hall or something like that? Or honestly, like, if you have a team that drafts Bijan in round 1 and then they draft Tyjae Spears, it's like you're throwing in You're throwing in the garbage, basically, because that's what happens with some of these running backs. And there's so many good potential running backs. I mean, this class is just, gosh, it's just so deep with some of these running backs that look into that kind of, they're not amazing tier, they're not horrible tier. You're going to have a lot of running backs that are going to be, gosh, into that, like, 2020 class. When you had even some of the backups that seem to just kind of filter in and be quality fantasy production, especially when other players are hurt. So a lot of handcuffs here. We'll see where Tyjae Spears goes. We'll see where Roschon Johnson goes. So again, until then, we're just going to have to keep watching film. We're just going to have to keep waiting. All right? So peace out. We'll see you again soon. And we'll do some more rookie stuff. All right? Peace out.